Now there's a method that I utilize, okay? There's a method known as the APPR method. And essentially that method means it's an annual personal performance review. Okay, so this is an opportunity for you to look at things holistically and understand, what does this mean for me now? Of course, this happens over the span of 12 months, but it works best when you have some sort of, I would say, rhythm associated with this sort of APPR method. What do I mean by this? When you go into the workplace, what happens? You usually have some sort of accompanying monthly review or session or meeting that happens with your line manager. You may have mid-year reviews. You may have little other meetings, either on a weekly basis, that lead up to this bigger one. And so this is all to say that, yes, reviews are good as a one-time thing each year, but they mean nothing if you've got nothing to review. Okay, you need something to review. You need something to go on. And so having some sort of cadence or rhythm is really important. And I say that because, again, this is something that I do myself. You know, I utilize the life navigation system that I've spoken to you guys about before, which is really an opportunity for you to, again, use Notion in a way for you to get that system that everybody's always talking about. Oh, you need a system X, Y, and Z. So again, if you're interested in this, then you can check the link below. You know, there's been good interest with this Notion template. So again, this is your opportunity to check it out. So let's start talking about what are the sort of questions, at least, that you need to be thinking about when it comes to your review. Okay, so this isn't the golden sort of like questions. You may have more questions, and I encourage you to think of more questions if it makes sense. You can use other frameworks, but frameworks are only as good if they make sense to you. Okay, so let's get into some ideas here. So the first sort of like question that we have in mind is, did you achieve your primary goal? Did you achieve that? Okay. Now, this primary goal or primary aim that comes to mind has come from the book Think and Grow Rich. So if you haven't read that by Napoleon Hill, it's a fantastic book. And it forces us to think about, is there something specific in our mind based on all the different life areas that is primary to us? This is why I'm saying the primary aim, primary goal. You'll have many goals. You're definitely going to have many goals, okay, whether they're spoken or unspoken. But there's always like one or two that are specific. You know, for many people right now, because we're in a cost of living crisis or because of the way the world is changing, everyone wants to be some sort of business owner. And if not a business owner, have passive income to get to that freedom status. It's not a secret. Everyone wants to do that in some way, shape or form. Maybe not in the same guise, but they want to achieve that thing. And so think to yourself, did you achieve your primary aim? If the simple answer is yes, then that's great. If the simple answer is no, it's about understanding why you didn't. And some of these other questions will help you understand why that wasn't the case. So the second question you want to ask yourself is, how much effort did you give towards your primary goal? Okay. And this is an important question because it shows yourself if you were kidding yourself. It shows yourself if you're kidding yourself. I mean, if, let's say, for example, the metric is out of 10 and you're saying you didn't necessarily put that much effort into your primary goal, then was it really your primary goal? Why did you decide to go that specific thing? Did it look cool? Did it feel right at the time? You know, was it a real, genuine, intuitive feeling that you had? These are all questions that we need to think about because we need to start to sharpen the saw when it comes to our decision making and start making decisions that are aligned to us as people. And so think about how much effort you actually put into this primary goal. The third question you want to ask yourself is, how aligned was this to your core values? Really big question, okay? If you don't know what your core values are, and again, I say this again and again and again, core values are things that are aligned to you. Core values are things that you deem as truly important. Core values are things that are rarely changing throughout your life unless something big or drastic has happened, okay? And so think to yourself, what are my values? Maybe your values are in health, okay? So if your values are in health right now, your decisions are going to be aligned to health conscious things. Maybe your values are centered around authenticity. Maybe it means that your business needs to feel authentic in terms of what you're doing and how you're interacting with people. Maybe one of your values is I guess, honesty. So the relationships that you hold with different people, you need to be honest to yourself and to other people. So think to yourself, did I truly stick to my values this year when it came to committing to this specific primary goal? If the answer is no, then maybe it's thinking about what your values are, thinking about the goal. You see how this is working? It's always coming back to reevaluating you and the goal. It's really important stuff. Now, maybe core value isn't the right word. Maybe for you, it's a means value, okay? So were there a set of principles or values that you needed to utilize in order for you to get to that goal? I believe in making sure that you have value-based goals. And again, if you're interested in my life navigation system, then this is an opportunity to check that out, because I explain all of this in a private section with the Notion template to talk about how you can make all of this link up. So really think to yourself, was I really true to my values? Okay. The next thing to consider is, what didn't go well? Okay. Really big, important question. Sometimes, and you're seeing this, kind of like fly about for a while, and I've been saying this over the years, that sometimes to know what you want, you need to know what you don't want, okay? Or what you don't like. We make decisions based on preferences, okay? So what we like and what we don't like. And that's usually based on the experience that we've had, so to speak. And so when you look at the negative, quote unquote, that allows you to steer closer towards what the positive may look like, because it's the alternative usually, or it's a variation of what's actually, happened in your life. And so think to yourself, what didn't go well? Okay. And the best way to know this is, again, based on your rhythmic sort of meetings that you have with yourself or your accountability buddy, your coach or mentor, whatever it may be. You should have outputs. You should have metrics. You should have an idea of what success looks like. At some point, I'm going to be talking about the chaser method. This is a methodology that I've come up with that helps you understand how to develop value-based goals from start to finish, using metrics and outputs so you understand what success looks like. I know for me personally, I've definitely achieved my goal when it comes to, building the stuff that I wanted to build and selling what I wanted to sell. So, I'm very thankful for that. I need to start thinking about what that means for me next year as well. Okay. Now, goals are not really changing in that sense, but again, I have to think about specifics week on week. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So what didn't I do well? And really think about the things that I didn't do well. Why didn't I do well? Was it the effort? Was it because I wasn't aligned to my values? Or was it other factors like environment, people? I always talk about the SCHEMES acronym. It's a great acronym. I think I've got this from Mind Tools. And essentially it stands for spaces, cash, helpers, materials, expertise, and systems. Okay. So think to yourself, what could you have done better? What didn't go well? Okay. And before we get to the next question, I just want to, again, really give you the opportunity to check this out. So again, if you want to be more productive and be more connected to your higher purpose in life, or your sense of purpose, then definitely check it out. Now, what did go well? Okay. What actually went well for you? What are the things that made you happy or made you smile or was a success, or that you actually achieved the specific outputs and metrics? What were those things? Write those things down as well. And I think importantly, we can't take those for granted. We have to be grateful for those things. I did a video on gratitude previously, so check it out to really understand how to unearth that. But we have to be grateful because we need to understand how we achieve those things and how we may replicate that again somehow. Okay. So think about those things. The next thing to really think about is, what are my lessons learned? Okay. What did I actually learn from all of this stuff? It's important for us to think about this, because now's the time to start thinking about lessons learned. I remember when I used to work for the NHS in a specific area, and I used to say to the team at the beginning of a project or sort of like cycle, we should start writing down our lessons learned now. And they started laughing at me because I was like, oh, why is this guy so enthusiastic? But when it came to the end of it, those lessons learned were fundamental keys to help and improve not only what we were doing operationally, but also what other teams were doing operationally as well, in terms of providing a service for the UK, or England, should we say, or London, should we say. And so, it's not a funny matter. It's an important matter, especially when it comes to your life. Take your life seriously. Think about any lessons learned and write them down. either in your journal, in a notebook, on your Notion, in your notes. It doesn't matter. Just have it in a space that you can refer back to so you can learn from these lessons. Okay. And the final thing I want to say is, how can you improve? It's about improvement all the time. Okay. How can you improve? How can you be bigger, badder, and bolder? You know, what are these different ways and mechanisms you can do it? Do you need to do more training? Do you need to go on a course or do a program? Do you need to do more research? Do you need to organize your notes and files in a way and read over this stuff? Do you need to speak to an expert? Do you need to improve your technology or skills or how you do specific things? Think about how you need to improve. You know, for those of you who've been watching my videos for a while, listening to my stuff, you would have seen that there have been some changes. I'm always trying to improve, you know, in order to make the process and operations slicker and easier so that I can provide as much value as possible to those people who feel they can get it from me, you know? And so with that in mind, you can tell my throat's a bit funny, but with that in mind, always find things that you can capitalize on in order to make better, because it will make your life easier or other people's lives easier as well. So hopefully that gives you an idea. Hopefully that gives you a sense of what you need to be thinking about for this year. And I'm sure there are many other questions. If you have any other questions that would be good for some sort of review, then leave it in the comments below. I'd love to know. We can share it and, you know, learn from each other. And, you know, I'm going to continue to say this. If this is, you know, something that you want to do, again, I have this life navigation system that I've developed. It's a really cool tool and opportunity to, again, have everything synced up and aligned in a way for you to feel like, yeah, like I feel like I can see what I'm doing and I'm making progress. You know, for me personally, when it comes to this improvement journey and tracking my steps and everything else, I don't focus on 12 months. I focus on 12 weeks. It just makes more sense. Okay. And again, this process goes through how you can do that effectively, aligned to you as a person. Okay. Anywho, if you want to see videos centered around positive psychology and life management and portfolio careers, so that's basically developing a multifaceted career, and I believe we're all moving towards that space. Well, we're gradually moving towards that space anyway, then make sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe, and as always, my friends, understand, reach, and expand. Peace.